Night. When we go live, I want to see BC in the chat. Everybody, I don't care if you're new to the channel or you're a long-time subscriber or you're a lurker. Type in BC in the chat. That being said, Mark Withers, I love it when you do that countdown.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Get over here! Hi, I'm martial art master Daniel Pacino. You know me as the original Johnny Cage, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Reptile, and Smoke. You are tuning in to NerdCage Live on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Don't miss an episode or you'll get caged. So let's finish him.
This is Anthony Marquez, better known as Kung Lao for Mortal Kombat. Make sure to like and subscribe to NerdCage Live. Be there. Us.
Hi, I'm Leah Montalongo, the OG Sindel. Please like, subscribe to NerdCage Live.
NerdCage Live and gaming are a perfect match.
Shoot the J, Joe.
Okay.
Shoot it!
All right.
Over on NerdCage Live on Twitch, Jay and Joe go live.
Call me Bazooka Joe.
It's all about you.
Kaboom!
Playing both old school and new school games every Tuesday night. Ooh, what a sight!
Jay, stop looking at her face and run.
But she's so beautiful!
So be sure to follow NerdCage Live on Twitch.
Run for your life, Joe. Run for your life, Joe.
Running.
Run faster! Oh no, Joe! The galaxy's doomed because of you!
To scratch your gaming itch.
Oh, nice kick, Joe.
Thank you.
Yo, that's diabolical. Wait. Yo!
That's twitch.tv/NerdCage Live. Resident Evil.
Don't get a sucker no statue. Give him chance.
Come on, Creed. Hit me.
Hey, woman. Listen here. He's mine.
There ain't no hands been messing with my coat.
Hey, how you doing? You're about to witness the strength of geek knowledge, you know?
Prediction? Yes, prediction. Pain.
There goes the neighborhood.
Body count. Body count.
Got on my black hoodie and pull up on my head. I didn't have a gun, so I'm not dead. You didn't have to shoot me, and that's a known fact. Yes, sir.
You're now about to witness the strength of geek knowledge. Hello, welcome. That's right. You're trapped in Nerd Cage Live. This ain't just a reaction show, but a debate show and a live discussion on everything that makes people like you and I tick. So thank you for joining us tonight on this special show that we got here with Body Count. I am your co-host, Jay St. G, coming to you live from yours truly, Syracuse, New York, and always among us, our moderator and trollhammer, stronger than a DK Banana Slammer. It's Joe from Fallen One Gaming, and always with me, the warrior from Wakanda, the fiend from Louisville, my man, Mark Withers. Please introduce this godly man that we have in our stream tonight.
What's up, everybody? Super excited to be here as usual. And yes, tonight is a special night for us, both being Body Count fans. Actually, all three of us being Body Count fans. This next man needs absolutely no introduction. He is a Grammy winner. He is one of the best heavy metal guitarists of our era. Ladies and gentlemen, Ernie C of Body Count. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm really good. You know, I'm doing fine. I'm out here in LA just chilling right now.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being with us. Like I was saying, we are all huge fans of your band, and we have a million questions for you. We're going to jump right into that. But before that, Joe, who do we have in the chat tonight?
In the chat tonight, we have Shay Smithers, Paul Tackett, Trippendicular, Betty Rage, Scott Bannock.
Guys, thank you so much for being here tonight. I know that you all probably have some questions as well. So if you do, please feel free to use the chat and ask your questions. Joe will get to them, as quickly as he can and ask them on your behalf. Now, I don't know who wants to go first, but we have a lot of questions for you.
Go ahead.
Jay, I know you're probably you probably are chomping at the bit to ask them something. Go ahead.
First and foremost, Ernie C, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight.
No problem.
Again, like Mark said, we are lifelong fans. I just want to share with everybody that I was lucky enough to catch Body Count at Tsunami Fest in Reading, Pennsylvania, and I happened to bump into Ernie right before they were getting ready for sound check. So really unforgettable moment. And then we touched base a few months back when he was on Jamie Josta's podcast, and here he is on NerdCage Live. And for starters, Ernie C, I would just like you to take us back to the beginning. Take us back to when the band first started, because you're one of the original members of Body Count. So please tell us how the band came to be and how Ice-T and everybody came into the picture.
Well, first of all, you can go all the way back to high school. I went to high school with Ice. He's my high school friend from Crenshaw Heights, which is South Central LA. I played guitar. He was a dancer. You know, he could do the dozen about your mama. He was, he could always talk. So rap was, was the next thing. So he went to the Army. I continued to play music. I played for a lot of your R&B bands that and he came back and he said he's starting to do this new type of music called rap. It's when rap was first starting, And over the years, we've done Electric Boogaloo, we've done rap movies, we've done rapping, we've done a bunch of rap movies and things like that. And then we started, he started doing that. I played on some of his early records, The Girl Tried to Kill Me, which is on one of his albums. And then we just got to a point where we couldn't put any more guitar stuff on a rap record without diluting what he does, you know what I mean? So we started a band. And so we looked around, we had our high school friends They were the original band, but sadly enough, everyone of the original members passed. Yeah. You know, Ice and I are the only two left from the original band. You know, and I always say that I have 7 variations of this band over the last 30 years. Seven different variations. The only ones that work is the first one and the one that I have now. Those are the only 2 that work. Everything else was just trial and trying to get together. Sometimes you can't get the best people. It doesn't always make a band. It has to have personality to it. So.
Yeah, and I just want to say, those first 2, I love all the Body Count records, but those first 2 records, the self-titled album with Cop Killer, actually it was taken off, and then Born Dead, like the original members, you guys, man, that shit was just off the chain, and like, yes, I mean, it was amazing that the short time you guys had together, you guys put out the most impactful metal albums of all time.
Yeah,
I have to agree.
It's like, you know, those 2 records laid the groundwork for everything else we did. You know what I mean? It changed a lot of music too, because, you know, everyone thinks that Ice, he doesn't rap in that band. It's kind of, he's a rapper, but in that band, he's our singer. He's our Dave Mustang. You know, he's actually a singer. But you know, they put it rap and metal, but that was before all the Limp Bizkits and, you know, Rage came after us, and Korn, they all came after us. When we first started playing, we didn't have an avenue to play on. We opened for DRI, Guns N' Roses. Yeah. You know what I mean? You know, we toured with Guns N' Roses. We didn't have an avenue. So now, you know, these type of bands can all tour together.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of talk to you about that. I'm glad that you brought that up, because I am like I'm from that era. So like when your first album came out, you know, with There Goes the Neighborhood, I was a young Black musician myself playing heavy metal, and that was like an anomaly back then where I'm from. And so that particular song, the lyrics of that song really spoke to me. And so that's what made me a Body Count fan. So I wanted to ask you, in those early days, like before you were signed, before you had an album out, like, you know, when you were just playing, like, let's say, like your local clubs and stuff like that, what was the atmosphere like and how were you received?
You know, when I first started, I have to speak for myself as a guitar player. I was trying to be a guitar player before we started the band. So I would try to get in bands, and, you know, I wanted to, you know, that was the glam era. You know, the 80s in LA was glam and spandex, and, you know, the black rock band was Living Color, you know, and we toured with them. But, you know, I always give Nirvana kind of a heads up for what we do, you know, kind of give them credit, because they came out looking the way they rolled in, like they rolled in from a club. They came looking street. So we're like, we can just dress the way we dress, you know what I mean? And that's Body Count. Body Count is, you know, South Central. It's not, it's the way it is. And, you know, the first record, you know, I was going to get Bob Rock to produce the record. He produced Metallica and all that. But the first record sound correct because I produced it myself, and it sounds real raw. It didn't need to be sounding polished, you know? So, you know, so that kind of helped out, you know, when we, you know, the format when we started.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Also, so my next question, keep it in terms here with Body Count here. From what I read, there's an upcoming album. Another. You guys have hit some momentum. You guys got some strife going on with this current lineup. But if I'm not mistaken, the next album, Merciless.
Merciless.
What can you say about the upcoming album? When is it? When can we expect it? What kind of tracks or any special guests if you're allowed to say? And is there going to be a tour to follow?
Well, hopefully there'll be a tour to follow, because we didn't play, you know, the last record. We didn't get to tour on that. So there will be a tour. We're going to tour next year. So I'm hoping by the end of the year it should be done. We're just in the preliminaries, just feeling it out, just seeing what's going on, just listening. You know, I'm playing some guitar stuff, learning some new riffs. You know, I always like to listen to stuff and then, you know, see what's going on, then, you know, write like that.
All right. We're really excited. And going back to the previous album, you guys nabbed the Grammy victory. So on behalf of NerdCage Live, congratulations.
Thank you.
Long overdue. I know you guys had a couple nominations in the past. And Mark, you can back me up on this. Mark and I were talking the other day, like, it's almost unheard of a band like Body Count to win a Grammy. I know it was a year ago, but like, wow, we're happy, we're astonished, but we're happy at the same time. So how's that been for you? Like, how was it like to, win a Grammy, and tell us how it all went down?
It's kind of like acceptance. You know what I mean? We could have run it years ago. We could have run it 30 years ago. But right now, after this long road, we've been through the ups and downs. We've lost members. We've gone through the cop killer stuff. We've been dropped from record labels. We've gone through the grinder. For even for us to have a Grammy, it's like saying, it's kind of like accepted. On Ice, on one of his rap records, had a song that went, "I never get a Grammy, so fuck the G. All I need is the crowd and my MIC." Right? That was in like '87. So in 2020, we're like, we're nominated for a Grammy. So it's like, but it's something they can't take away from you. We have it. So in the history of rock and roll, we're there. We can be said in the same breath of Black Sabbath and of Van Halen. So we can. It's kind of like an honor just to be able to be in that category. Because what my friend of mine said, Jimi Hendrix didn't win a Grammy. So I was like, wow,
Yeah, and that's, I think that speaks volumes. I mean, you mentioned Cop Killer just as like a second ago, and that was a big song for me when I was coming up. I remember the climate around that song and like how polarizing it was. And here we are, 30 plus years later, you've won a Grammy. Before that, if I'm not mistaken, you were nominated for Black Hoodie, right? Which has similar subject matter, you know what I mean? So, do you attribute the progress from Cop Killer to that? Do you attribute that to sort of your fans like kind of growing up and becoming the decision makers? Or do you think that like society, from a societal standpoint, like we've actually sort of evolved and we can actually like look at these things through a different lens, like pretty much everybody?
That's pretty much it. We've evolved, because the president of the Music Academy of the Grammys, the vice president, he's the one that wanted us to play, so over the 30 years, we've come a long way. But we haven't come far enough, but we have come a long way. But the song Cop Killer, you still can't do that song.
Right.
You still can't do that one. The songs that we have now is from a older perspective, from us being older, like, you talked about No Lives Matter. That's more about social issues, more, about money and things like that. Black Hoodie is, it's about the cops shooting someone. Cop Killer is a whole nother can of worms. That's going out and taking matters into your own hands, being a vigilante for the bad cops. You know what I mean? So that's a whole nother thing.
Right. What was your mindset like when you were writing that song? Like when you guys were like first writing and recording that song, did you have any like trepidation about like releasing it? Like did you kind of feel like, well, maybe we shouldn't? Like you just no fear, just like this is what we want to say, we're putting this out.
At that time, we were in our late 20s, and we wrote the song and we gave it to Warner Brothers. We gave it to a bunch of executives there. And I remember sitting in the room with them. They're like, we like this. We like everything about it. But the song we're worried about is just Mama's Gotta Die. You can't write a song about killing your mother. It's gonna drive everyone up the wall. So Mama's Gotta Die was like they didn't quite get it. But Cop Killer, they were fine with that. They thought it was no problem. And they just didn't want, because we're gonna have the man on the front, his shirt, it was gonna say Cop Killer on the front of his chest. And they just didn't want that to be out so people wouldn't buy the record. But they were fine with that. No one, batted an eye at that song. And
wow.
We played it for a year. We played it for a year before it was on the record. We went on Lollapalooza and played that song every night.
Yeah.
So it was no problem with it. But then election year came up.
That makes sense.
That just kind of goes to show, like, what used to be acceptable to what's acceptable now.
Right,
How much
right.
it's changed, you know?
Right.
And it was just
I
amazing, 'cause
remember
then,
when it.
then you guys took the song off the record and then you replaced it with one of Ice-T's old tracks, their Freedom of Speech.
With Jello Biafra.
Just watch what you say.
Well,
Yep.
with Jello Biafra, you know, yes, just watch what you say. And you can talk about Jello. Like, it started in 1974, and it worked. But anyway, yeah, we replaced it with that song. There is no freedom of speech. You know, we always say, you know, from the time you're a child, you're always censored. So we were just part of censorship. You know.
Yeah. I was actually working in a record store when that album came out. And I was so in love with the record that I used to play it like in the store. And whenever the song Cop Killer would come up, like the manager would come up and like give me grief because he didn't want to drive customers out. I would just turn it up like in rebellion. Actually, eventually ended up losing that job basically because of that song.
But
So now's your chance to blame Ernie.
Right. But the thing about that was during that time there was a whole lot of censorship going on because Two Live Crew was going through a thing about Me So Horny, but that was sex. You know, sex is a whole nother thing. Ours was about violence.
Right.
And then the thing about it was, I always said the reason why we caught a lot of hell, because, you know, Eric Clapton did I Shot the Sheriff and this and that. But that's the white man talking about shooting the sheriff. We were black kids from South Central who really had a beef with the cops. So it was really like, we were really like saying we're going to go out and shoot cops. It wasn't watered down. So that's why it caught so much attention. It had some, you know, we were sincere about it. It sounded like we were sincere.
Absolutely. Do we have any questions in the chat?
I see a couple.
I see one from Paul Tackett. He asks, when you're just trying to chill, what's your favorite type of music to listen to?
I listen to anything, you know. I like to listen to a lot of jazz rock. I listen to John McLaughlin, Al Di Meola, and, you know, that way out stuff. But, you know, I listen to, you know, everything. I listen to Zeppelin, you know. I have no boundaries on what I listen to as far as musical styles, you know. None.
And we hear that in your guitar playing, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, anything, you know, at any time.
Yeah, I was reading an article not long ago where you kind of like broke down like 77 of your favorite guitar players, and some of them were really surprising. Like you mentioned Al Di Meola, you mentioned Robin Trower, and those were two in particular that I never would have guessed. You know what I mean? Like I would have thought like it would have been more, you know, KK Downing or like, you know, you mentioned Tony Iommi, but like super heavy guitarists like that. The fact that you like are a huge fan of these finesse players was kind of surprising. What would you say is your, like, if you had to pick one, like, you know, gun to your head, you had to pick one guitar player that influenced you head and shoulders above everyone else, who would that be?
It has to be Ernie Isley. I mean, just because, you know, his playing, he's not the greatest, but he's, and it's digestible. From when I was starting to play guitar, it was really digestible. Because I used to listen to like Richie Blackmore. I'm like, I can't play that. You know, I've been playing for a year. I can't play this stuff. It was good to listen to. I was able to digest Ernie Isley's playing, you know, and listen to it. But I listened to Earth, Wind & Fire's guitar player, Al McKay. I saw him play. He was good. You know, I listened to, you know, a lot of different folks.
Awesome.
Good Vibes asks, what's your favorite song to perform?
Probably Cop Killer, because it's first is at the end of the set, so I know I made it through the set. Anything going wrong with my equipment, so everything's working, so that's always good. And then it's just a fun song to play. People, you know, put all their energy into that song. You know, we put all of our energy from the show into that song.
Nice.
And L Lamb asks, when is Body Count coming to New York City?
Oh, well, you know, we talked about that earlier. We owe New York City a concert, and plus Ice lives there. He wants to go there, so as soon as we can, probably, you know, after we finish this record, we're going to be there. That's one of our first stops.
Actually, guys, keep the questions coming. These are good. Keep the questions coming. We love it.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, Paul Tackett asks, what song would you like to cover?
We've covered a lot of them. You know, I don't know. We're flirting around with covering a Pink Floyd song.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah, we're messing around with that. You know, so we'll see how that goes.
Which song can you say?
Numb. Comfortably numb.
Comfortably numb. Nice.
Yeah, we're trying to do that. Just a different version of
BC cover that. That'd be fucking
awesome. Ice's voice is in that range, you know, so it can work. We back in the day we tried to cover Heartbreaker by Led Zeppelin. So we still have that recorded. Yeah, so we'll figure out one. And then there was a Guns N' Roses song we wanted to cover. You know, just because they took us out, you know, years ago. So we'll see how that goes.
Nice.
And
so were they your first big tour?
What's that?
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
I was gonna ask, was Guns N' Roses your first like big nationwide tour, or had you gone out on big tours?
We did Lollapalooza before Guns N' Roses.
Oh, right on.
We don't Lollapalooza before that, but Guns N' Roses was our big stadium tour with that number of bands, only 3 bands. And you know, I always say, you know, when we toured with them, they had more broken equipment than we had equipment that works. But you know, so you know, the thing about touring with a band like Guns N' Roses on a tour that big, it's hard for the opening act to tour because they might only play Wednesday and Thursday, but during that time we still have to float the band. So you know, it's not you don't make as much money as you think because you got to support all your techs for 3 days off or 2 days off.
Absolutely, I've been on both sides of that. Actually, I've worked as a touring musician and as a guitar. And as a drum tech. So I get it.
Oh, yeah, you understand that completely.
Yeah, actually, Ernie, I actually had a question for you. Not go too off topic, but you're talking about guitar players earlier. You mentioned Tony Iommi. I have to ask, as a diehard Black Sabbath fan, I was lucky enough to catch them on their farewell tour. Just real quick, however you want to do it, just tell us how it was like to produce the album Forbidden, to be in the same room with Tony Iommi and work with him. Like, if you have any stories about Tony, we would love to hear.
I got a whole bunch of stories about Tony.
Oh, fire away, fire away.
Well, first of all, you know, when you're working with Tony Iommi, so that's first of all, you know. And I remember one day I was in the studio and Brian May walks in, you know. He comes in there, and so he's sitting back there, and Tony's playing guitar solos out there. I'm like in rock and roll heaven right now. So then later on, Jeff Beck comes in, and he sits in. I'm like, what the hell? So I'm like, so Tony asked me, he's out there doing guitar solos. I've got Jeff Beck and Brian May sitting behind me in the control room. And so Tony says, Ernie, what do you think of that? I'm like, what do I think of it? You should ask these dudes back here what do they think of it. You know, it was like mind blowing, you know. But just spending that much time with Tony, I always tell this story. One night, you know, he brought the guitar that he used on Iron Man. He brought it to the studio. Nice. He's left-handed, I'm left-handed. So he says, Ern, I brought this for you to play. You know, this is the guitar I used on Iron Man. And everyone thinks it's a Gibson. It's not a Gibson. The Gibson wouldn't make him a guitar with 24 frets. It's a 24 fret Ego. They made the guitar for him. It looks like an SG, but it's not an SG. Wow. So I played the guitar all night. I mean, I played Iron Man pose. I played Iron Man, you know, any kind of way you could. I was like sitting there going, this is like it, you know. And after that, I was just like, if anybody says anything to me, you know, kiss my ass, you know. It's like, you know, it's not the best record. The record got kind of slammed because what I did was, at that time, Nirvana was popular, and I tried to dry up their sound. You know what I mean? And so you know, I was dealing with Cozy Powell. If everybody know who Cozy Powell is, he's like drummer extraordinaire. So Cozy, you know, I sat there and we worked on the drums for 2 days and this and that. And Cozy, you know, I had Cozy play and I recorded the drums and he listened to them. He came in the studio, he was listening to them. He used to have a stopwatch. He was like, you know, I'm off time right there. You know, I'm off time. You know, I was like, whoa, this is some new shit. You know? So he's like, I'm like, yeah, I noticed. So you always act like you know. Yeah, I noticed you were off right there. Act like you know. So I dried up his drums for him. And so he listened to him. He said, and he handed me a DAT tape, you know, a little DAT tape of his drum sounds. He said, this is the way my drums sound. Tomorrow, when I come in, that's nice, but have my drums sound like this.
Wow.
He knew what he wanted.
Yeah, he knew what he wanted.
So I had to work around that. Tony knew what he wanted, you know, so I had to work around it. So I did what I could do, and it came out, you know, we're still friends. Nobody got murdered, so it's good.
All right, Joe, we got a couple more questions, Joe, if you want to tackle those.
All right, Good Vibes asks, I think we touched on this earlier, but he wants to know when the next record is coming out.
Oh, hopefully by the end of the year, if not early next year. Yeah.
Okay. And Paul Tackett asks, do you know the girl group called Taste of Honey?
Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do know Taste of Honey, and I knew the guitar player quite well. Yeah. All
right.
Well, Boogie Oogie Oogie.
Yeah.
Down.
I remember that song.
John Warren wants to hear a story about B.B. King.
Oh, Mr. King. So we played in the Montreux Jazz Festival in Montreux, Switzerland. And Mr. King, you know, Mr. King was there, and, you know, I went over to him and I'm like, how you doing? He's like, and he said to me, he says, I always remember, he says, I like to see young black kids playing rock. I'm like, when I was like 30 years old, I thought it was, so he was very nice, very, you know, my road manager who passed dated his daughter. You know, it's a funny story, so I have to tell the story. So my road manager dated his daughter. She was the head of his, you know, management company, BB's in Vegas. So I called up one time. Mr. King was playing somewhere, and I needed some tickets. So I called up, and so I says, "Hey, Penny, how you doing?" He says, "Hey, Ernie. Tell your no good, lying ass, cheating ass, motherfucking road manager, don't ever fucking call me again." And he can, you know, it went on and on. And so after end up, she says, "And Ernie, what can I do for you?" I says, I said, "Well, I'd like some tickets to see Mr. King." Oh, she says, "That's no problem. My daddy likes you."
Nice.
So, I was like, okay. But she went through a long rant. And I'm like, I'm calling for some tickets.
I did have a question for you, Joe, before you get into some more questions. So I read somewhere that you had produced, before these bands were signed, demos for Stone Temple Pilots and for Rage Against the Machine. Is that true?
No, that's not true at all. I don't know where that came from. But I did find Stone Temple Pilots, their manager. They gave me their demo, and I gave it to my management office. They started managing them. They also rehearsed with us. I got them the rehearsal spot over at a place that we rehearsed at for years called Bill's Place. I had nothing to do with the demos. Tom Morello was a friend of mine. I saw his band. I sat down and listened to his first records. His first record, they recorded it somewhere. I was like, this shit is badass. But I did put them on shows opening for us. You know, I see. I don't know where that came from. I always say I didn't produce them, you know, but I just helped them find, you know, at that point.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah.
But they were two bands that were. Matter of fact, Stone Temple Pilots were Mighty Joe Young.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was their original name, and they opened some shows for us. And you know, and Scott, rest in peace. Scott, you know, people say he was a certain way. He was that way when he was broke. He was the same way he was when he was broke as when he had money.
Wow. What was your first impression of their sound when you first heard them?
I thought they were good. You know, I listened to their demo and I liked it a whole lot. You know, when I first was buying equipment, I bought my H3000, which is a harmonizer. You know, I bought that from Robert, the bass player. Yeah. Robert was pushing the band more than anyone. He sold musical equipment. He worked at a music store.
Oh.
Yeah.
Scott Bannock asks, musically, what's your favorite guilty pleasure?
I don't know. Michael Bolton or Barry Manilow. I don't know. some. No, really. I listened when I was young. I was learning how to try to do arrangement, orchestrations. I used to listen to Barry Manilow because he had a full orchestra. I know all those songs, the way they're arranged, and the way he retards them and slows them down at the end. Yeah, I don't bash it.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good songwriter.
Yeah,
and take that away from him.
Very good. Very good songwriter.
Okay, before we get to some more questions, we were talking off air earlier, Ernie, and we were talking about Soundgarden. And Vinny, who plays, Vincent Price, who plays bass for Body Count, he was Chris Cornell's guitar tech. But you were talking about that you and Soundgarden go way back into like the 80s, like in '87 when the band first got started. So, tell me how that came to be, and like, again, Chris Cornell, rest in peace. It was just yesterday. It was 5 years ago. But yeah, share some stories about Soundgarden and Chris Cornell in the early days, if you could, please.
I met Chris in '87. We did a thing called Gathering of the Tribes. It was the Cult, Queen Latifah, Ice-T, Soundgarden. It only did like 2 or 3 shows, but that's when I first met Chris. And then, I've seen him over the years. He was always nice and kind to me. And then 1991, I went down to Florida. I was on vacation. I went to Lollapalooza, the second Lollapalooza, and they were on it. And he says, Ernie, I told you the story. He says, Ernie, we're playing your song, Cop Killer. I said, really? He says, you want to play? I'm like, I don't have a guitar. I'm left-handed. He says, I'll get you a guitar. So he went to Kim's guitar tech, and he told his guitar tech, make Ernie a guitar. he's like, okay. So he grabbed one of Kim's guitars and restrung it so I could play left-handed. There's a video of me playing. It's on their 25th, the anniversary album. Some anniversary album they have that's like, 7 albums or something like that.
Yeah.
It was released about 5 years ago.
Yeah, the Bad Motorfinger Special Edition. Yes.
Yeah, it's like a big, massive album, and it's on there. The video is on there, and it's like I'm coming out in a yellow banana suit. I'm on vacation, and so we played the song. This is the first time I ever played it. Is when I walked on stage, and they played it different. It moved a little different. Chris could sing, so it's moving different. So I'm like going along playing. The strings are like this high off the fretboard because they just made the guitar for me, and I had a great time, just playing with that night. But then that night, the next day, Hurricane Andrew comes into Florida. So yep. I'm sitting there going, they're like, you want to roll with us? I'm like, nah, I'm from California. A hurricane, man, that's a little water. I was there for like a week and a half. I couldn't get out there.
Oh, thanks so much. Thanks so much for sharing that.
And one last one, the last time, he was playing with Temple of the Dogs, and Vince says, Chris wants to see you. I'm like, sometimes I always regret not going to see him, because I was just like, I'll see him when I see him, Chris, I'll see him when I see him. And so there was he was playing the Forum, and I was going to go down to see him, but there was an elevator. You had to get in with a whole bunch of people, and everybody was like, how people are at shows. I was like, I really don't deal with it. I'll see him at rehearsal. And then, later, about 6 months later, he passed. So that was always
hard pill to swallow, man.
I went to drop some pics. I dropped 3 pics at his gravesite yesterday. And what's so amazing, real quick, the woman that Alec Baldwin shot in that, that thing, she's right next to him now.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It caught me off guard because I'm looking at it going, hold it, she's right. Chris is here. Wow. She's right there. It's Forever Hollywood. It's cemetery.
Wow.
So she's there right next to Chris Cornell. I said, she's got the prime spot next to Joey Ramone.
Wow.
Wow. And Joey Ramone's in there too.
Yeah. Right next to Chris. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Camera asks, what's your favorite album that you've done?
I don't know. I kind of liked. I like the first one, that because that gave us legs to do the others.
It's a masterpiece.
But I like the third album. I like The third album. I like.
Oh
that
yeah. Violent Demise.
Violent Demise. I like
Yeah.
Violent Demise a lot. You know,
I love the song Strippers and.
Yeah, that's why it's so fun. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, and then
you know, and that Dr.
My
K,
Way.
I got to sing on Dr. K, and you know, and on My Way I used a guitar synthesizer. I only used it on that one song. I've never
Oh
used
man,
one
that song
since.
is banging, dude. That song
You know,
is hard, man.
Yeah, exactly. So I like that record a whole lot. I like that one a whole lot.
Very underrated album, I'll
And plus,
say.
I have a song on there that I have. What's it called? The big epic song. And I have a choir singing at the end of it. Our first EMA church choir sung on the back of that song.
Nice.
Okay.
Good Vibes asks, when are you going to start your own YouTube channel?
No, not yet.
And I think this is a good segue into our type of stuff. We have a couple questions in here asking about nerd culture and what's your favorite thing, like movie-wise or comics or gaming or anything like that?
Well, movie-wise, I was saying, you know, my favorite movie of all time, I don't know if it's a nerd movie, but it's Get Shorty. I don't know if that's a nerd
I remember
movie.
that movie. Yeah, John
it's kind of
Travolta.
funny. Yeah, it's kind of funny. You know, it's kind of, you know, it's light. You know, I'm really not into horror movies. That's Ice's thing. Ice loves horror movies. I'm
Not
like
surprised.
Not
surprised.
I'm more of a comedy, you know, light, fluffy, you know, kind of movie kind of guy, you know?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay.
Get into any like TV shows or anything like that?
Any TV shows you watching right now?
No, not really. I just watch whatever's on. I watch news a lot. I don't know why. I'm kind of stuck on news. I don't know why it doesn't. I have no control of it, but I just like watching it.
Well, it makes
Right
sense
on.
because body count's always on top of like current events and stuff.
Yeah, it's good. I like to
to
see. I like news shows. You know, I'm.
Okay.
LM here asks, who would Body Count like to do a USA tour with?
I don't know. We want to open. We want to tour. We want to open for someone. We really don't want to headline any shows right now. We like the festivals. They're easy. You just show up and play. You don't have to, you know, do a whole lot. That's kind of like where we are right now.
Okay.
About a year ago, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jay. It was probably about a year, maybe year and a half ago. We actually had Will on. We had Ill Will on, and he was telling us a funny story about like his audition and how you guys kind of hazed him a little bit. I'd love to hear like that story from like your point of view.
Well, you know,
You remember it.
Will, you know, we got rid of the drummer that we had, and Will came in. He's very even-tempered. You know, he's the nicest guy in the world. What you get from him is what he is. And he played, he auditioned, and you know, he was the man for the job. You know, so I don't remember. I just remember Vince liking him a whole lot, and I'm like, you know, I've been through auditions. Sometimes, this time we were replacing someone that didn't die. You know, so it was a little easier. You know, it's easier than, you know, replacing someone that, you know, passed. I always say, you know, the band works right now because every member that I replaced is one member away from the original. You know what I mean? What I mean, like when Vic died, we replaced him with OT. You can't replace Vic, but you can replace OT. Like with Moose was the original, and then Doug came in. You can't replace Moose.
Right.
But you can replace Doug. So every member that we have right now is one removed from the original. So that's why the band works like that.
And I was just saying, like you just kind of said it earlier, like I feel that the current lineup of Body Count is right on some momentum. This is the best lineup you guys had since the original lineup. And the fact that you guys have kept the same consistent lineup for like the last 4 albums, going on 5 albums now, if I'm not mistaken. Like, man, when Manslaughter came out, like, holy shit, it was like, Body Count's fucking back, dude.
we
Every
like
record
it.
has been
we like
awesome.
each other. We like each other. That's a cool thing. We like talking on the phone. We like calling up. We like saying, "What you doing?" Because Juan and I, Juan came from Evil Dead. We've known Juan for years and years. Juan is from Evil Dead. Evil Dead's no joke.
Yeah.
So when Juan came in, it was like he was the right piece to come in. To complete everything.
Oh, Joe, get this comment here from Zombie Username. She's a friend of mine, but I remember the story. Get that.
Yeah, she's telling a story here. She says she remembers seeing Body Count right next to the Mushroom Head stage at Mayhem Fest 2013 at Darien Lake, and one of the gray pit bull puppies got loose and ran right past her feet.
Those English bulldogs.
Okay.
Those are English bulldogs.
Yeah, everyone's trying to get Ice-T's dog. I remember people telling me that story.
Yeah, the English bulldogs. Yeah, and Mushroom Head, those are our friends. They're from Cleveland. We know them a while.
Good band.
Yeah, they're from Cleveland. Yeah, good band.
Absolutely.
All right. Paul Tackett says, if you wrote a tell-all book, any stories about Ice?
A lot of Ice. Well, if a tell-all. I don't know exactly what that is because we tell all anyway. There's no secrets. There's no big secrets or anything like. There's no bodies buried anywhere. So.
Not that we know of, anyway.
Not that I know of.
Right.
You tell me. But Ice wrote a book. And his book. One time people were writing books. I was in everyone's book. I'm in Duff McKagan's book. I was in Ice's book. I was in a Cook book. I'm like, how am I said I need to write a book about everything. I said,
listen. We would love to see an Ernie C book. With all these stories you're telling us, I know there's a lot more. We would definitely see you write.
They're writing a body count. They're writing a body count book. The guy who wrote the Metallica book, he's writing a book about body count. Yeah, he's writing a body count book. He's been interviewing people. I'm like, that I didn't even know he could get in contact with. So yeah.
Okay, speaking of Ice-T, because we all want to hear this. We talked about it off here, but we need to hear. We want everyone to hear. Favorite Ice-T movie?
Ricochet. Watch out
that's
for the
a good one.
Yeah, watch out for the Ricochet. He also did a song for the movie also.
I remember that.
And you got Denzel Washington, you got John Lithgow. Come on now. You can't get. It's nothing better than that.
Right.
It's a good movie.
Yeah. My favorite is New Jack City, but another underrated movie that Ice-T did. You guys did a song, "Surviving the Game."
The Game.
And I love that fucking song. Please, that's a good one. Tell me, how did that come to be? The song "Surviving the Game" off Born Dead. Did you guys write that for the movie, or is that song already written?
We wrote that for the movie. When he got back, we wrote that for the movie. But New Jack City is also a good movie too because it has Chris Rock in it. But Ricochet is still my favorite.
Oh, by the way, Kristen Riley McFarland says it's Ben Apatow is writing the book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
So since the book's coming out, I know it's probably jumping the gun, but how long before we can actually expect like a biopic from Body Count?
We've talked about that. It'll be an interesting story. We have some, Ice's book. He talked about the riot we had in Italy. We had a big riot in Italy one time. They put the bus on flats and threw Molotov cocktails at us. Italians don't play. Don't go to and shit thinking, no, they don't play. They get busy.
Who would you want to play you if there was a biopic being cast right now?
Oh, Denzel.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I agree.
Ninja Turtle 6503. I guess he wants to get into the polarizing nerd questions. Like, for instance, he asks, Team Star Wars or Team Star Trek?
It's Team Star Wars because I saw the first movie. I stood in line in Westwood. In line for like hours. I didn't even know what I was going to see. Some older friends, I was like 16, 17 years old. Some older friends, they took me to see this. I'm like, okay, when I went in, it has to be Star Wars.
Okay,
Has-
okay. I'm more
Yeah,
of a
you
Trekkie.
just made Jay mad. He hates
No,
Star.
it's all good. It's a dagger to the heart. I'm more of a Trekkie.
I like Star Trek too, but I like Star Wars.
Okay,
you know?
that's
Right,
fair.
yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter if you're Star Wars or Star Trek. You're one of us. You're NerdCage Live.
Right.
We always talk about those stuff. We debate them all the time. In fact, we got another question there related to George Lucas. Go ahead, take that from Scott, Joe.
Oh boy. Do you like any of the Indiana Jones movies? And I think I know where Scott is going with this.
Oops, I think we're frozen here.
Yeah,
Did we lose him?
It froze. Hold on.
Give it a second here. We'll get him back. Oh, there he is.
There it goes.
There,
All
okay,
right.
You're back. You're back.
I like the father, that Indiana Jones' father more than anyone. That one. Which was that? The third.
Sean
the third
Connery?
one? Yeah.
the
What's the name-
Lost
what's the third
Crusade.
movie? Yeah.
Indiana Jones and the Lost Crusade.
That's my favorite. That's my
Yes,
favorite.
that's a good one. That's an absolutely
Right. You just made Jay happy because
Yes,
I know where
I
Scott's
love
going.
Well, I'm one and
Between
one
the
now.
first
One and
one and
one.
that
One
one,
and
it's so debatable, you know?
Yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah, I think we covered most of the stuff I want to cover. Do you guys have anything else you guys want to cover? I covered all my.
Well, I have our biggest topic that we can cover. And it'll be in the same type of frame. Marvel or DC when it comes to comics.
Well, my favorite is Superman, of course. You know, I have a Superman watch. I wear Superman shirts. I'm at the gym every morning. You know, so you know that
DC that. That answers that.
I'm a big Superman fan too myself.
I look at it back there, but I have a lot of Captain America stuff. I have shirts and things. I'm a 60-year-old man who walks around with Captain America stuff on. So
And like I said, you're one of us.
Absolutely, absolutely. I only have one more question.
I'm really a Bugs Bunny guy, you know.
Oh, okay.
I like Bugs Bunny too.
Yosemite Sam, kind of.
Excellent.
I only have one more question for you. So, I was telling you sort of, when I was like up and coming, like how what a big inspiration your band was, and particularly, some of the songs out that first album. What would you say to like, someone who's up and coming now, who's just kind of starting to get into the game? Like, what advice would you have for them?
My advice is, do what you believe and stick with it no matter what. I mean, I started playing when I was 12, 13 years old. I got nominated for a Grammy when I was 60. I won a Grammy when I was 62. So just believe in what you do, and continue to do it. When I was playing guitar in the early 70s, they're like, oh, you can't play. I played rock, and they're like, you can't play rock because, disco is in, and then later on, it was like, you can't play rock because you're black. And then, we proved that wrong, but no matter what, whatever color you are, just believe in what you do, stick with it, and practice. Don't look at something and just want it. Practice. That's always my thing. Practice. You should rehearse, practice 10 hours a day. Nothing but picking. Just practice, practice, practice. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice.
Practice. That's great advice. And we really, again, we appreciate you, taking this time to kind of talk with us. We are some of your biggest fans. And so we wanted to see this. We wanted to see this right here. Ladies and gentlemen, the Grammy that Body Count won for Bum Rush.
Grammy, it's like you work your whole life to get one of these things, but it's an honor because they only give 5 of them away per year. There are 5 nominations, and you only give 1 for this category of metal.
Yeah.
So,
I gotta say, I've never talked to a Grammy winner in my life. Like this is a first for me. This is a huge deal. So,
well, when we talked to Will, it was before he won the Grammy.
Well, that was before. Yeah, that was beforehand.
So you're the first Grammy-winning musician we've had on the show. So we like I said, trust me, Mark and I, we celebrate. Like I remember, like like messaging like Mark body count 1 last night. Like
Yeah, we were really
really
happy for you when
Yeah,
it happened.
It was so unbelievable because we thought, because after we lost the first time, and we played that time when we lost, we got beat by Mastodon, and we were like, okay. And so at the second time around, we weren't really prepared, and we won it. So it's good because my friend Rob Zombie is my friend. He's been nominated so many times. I can't. After a while, you're just like, fuck it. You know what I mean? Fuck them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's good to win. So now, even if we get nominated again in life and lose, I'm still accepting of the win.
Yeah. Well, you're a winner.
Our Grammy equivalent would be that YouTube button on the wall. But saying that, like and subscribe, everybody. Hear that?
Yes. Joe, get that last question right there, if you would.
Paul Tackett asks, will you be back to NerdCage Live in the future?
Oh, hell yeah. In a half a second. Let me tell my last. I always gotta tell my Eddie Van Halen story.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Please share.
Okay, so back in the 90s, up to Sabbath, we've been through that. So Eddie told me, he said, if you ever get a chance to meet Eddie, go say hi to Eddie. Okay, so I had a picture of me and Tony. I went to see Van Halen at the Forum. So I go to the Forum, and security, guys, they let me go, and all of a sudden I see Eddie. Yeah, it's after the show, so I see Eddie. He's walking down this hallway. He's coming toward me. It's like woo! It's Eddie Van Halen. I'm a fan myself. It's Eddie Van Halen. He's coming at me, so I'm like, I walk over to him. I said, "Hi, Eddie. I'm Ernie C. I produced Black Sabbath." And I just handed him a picture of me and Tony Iommi. Nice. Just handed it to him. Like, if you don't know me, I'm just giving you a quick intro. So I handed him a picture of Tony Iommi. He looked at it. He looked at me. He said, "Really?" I said, "Yep." He says, "Here, take my number." So he started writing my number down. I'm like, okay, Eddie Van Halen, give me his number. So, wow. Okay, cool. I'm geeking out, okay? Or nerding out, as we say.
Right.
So then Eddie starts calling me. And, he calls me like, "Hey, Ernie," and he's playing guitar. He's like, "What do you think of this?" I'm like, what the hell? Okay, so then one time, you have those answer machines with tape on it, right? Mm-hmm. So Eddie calls one time and says, "Hey, Ernie, it's Eddie Van Halen. Give me a call." So my outgoing message for the next year was, you call my house, you get, "Hey, Ernie, it's Eddie Van Halen."
Wow. Awesome.
So I had that in my outgoing message. So then he was with Ernie Ball at the time, Ernie Ball Guitarist.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I called up Ernie Ball. I said, I want a guitar. I want a guitar. They're like, "We don't make left-handed guitars." So I called up Eddie. I said, "Eddie, I called up Ernie Ball. They don't make left-handed guitars. I wanted one of the guitars." He said, "They don't?" He said, "They made one for John McEnroe. They're going to make one for you." So he called them up, and they made me a guitar.
Wow.
And the thing about it was, our friendship was just like that. It's just like whirlwind, And then one day, we just didn't talk anymore. I didn't talk to him for years, It was just at that time, it's just, they said he was...
Just drifted apart.
Just drifted apart, But it was just, I just remember that part of him being so nice. That's what I remember.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for sharing that with us. So all these stories, thank you for sharing. These are stories we're going to remember on the channel for the rest of our lives. And this is cool. It's been a tremendous honor. Again, we are huge fans. And listen, we respect everybody's time, so we'll probably. I think this is a good time to end. So I figure before we go, Mr. Ernie C. Yes. Do you have any last message or message to our fans at NerdCage Live? Just any general message for the fans before we call it a night here.
Just keep the positivity and keep listening to this station.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And everybody, you better be buying them Body Count records and hitting up Apple Music and Spotify at Body Count and buying their awesome merch here. I'm sorry, you can't really put my see my Body Count shirt. Make sure you get yourself a Body Count merch. I put the link in the description to Body Count merch in the description of this video.
Thank you.
Please buy Body Count merch and listen to freaking Body Count, man. It's hard. It's eye-opening music, and it's fucking hard and you can jam to it, fuck yeah, body count all day, every day.
Thank you. Cool.
Absolutely.
Exactly right. Well said.
All right, so listen, everybody. And hi, Zombie.
Get this copy of Guitar World. I'm in this Guitar World this month.
Oh, awesome.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
I definitely will get that.
Cool. Okay. Cool.
Yes.
That's it.
All right, like I said, everybody who came in the chat, thank you so much. Joe, just real quick, tell them about tomorrow real quick, Joe.
All right, tomorrow night we will be going back to Donkey Kong Country 2.
Yep, right on Twitch, everybody on Twitch. And then, Mark, go ahead and tell everybody about next Thursday.
Next Thursday.
Rocky
what is happening next Thursday? Oh, yeah. Sorry. I'm really bad with schedules. But next Thursday, we're going to be talking about the 40th anniversary of Rocky 3. Now, this is one of my absolute favorite movies. It is far and away my favorite Rocky movie. It introduced us to Mr. T, superhero of the 1980s. We got a ton of facts and a ton of things we want to chop up with you. Basically talk with you, not talk with you. Well, we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about this in deep detail. So, by all means, check it out next Thursday.
And then that following Saturday will be the Rocky 3 watch party as well. More details coming soon. I'm still ironing those out. And of course, on Tuesday, Joe and I will be playing Resident Evil, the original remake on Twitch as well. So that's all the cool stuff we got coming up. And again, Mr. Ernie C, thank you. And
I got one quick one.
Yes.
Ice-T taught Mr. T how to rap on Mr.
What?
T's
What?
T's commandments. Mr.
What?
T,
What?
Mr. Ice-T taught Mr. T how to rap on this song that he did called Mr. T's Commandments. Go to school, boy. Go to school. Go to school. Eat your vegetables.
That's awesome. I had no clue.
Yeah, I.C. was his teacher on that. Yes.
Damn.
Awesome.
Wow, what a note to end on, everybody.
Yes. Go to school. Listen to this podcast.
Now I gotta download that song now.
Oh my God! Again, Mr. Ernie C, thank you so much again. We are diehard fans. We cannot wait to hear Merciless when it comes out. We cannot wait to have you back. Let's stay in touch. My God, this has been a tremendous night. Thank you for making this night memorable, Mr. Ernie C. Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right,
bye,
everyone.
Bye.
Okay. Bye, Ernie. We pretty much ask you to like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell, and spread that shit like syphilis. So to you, I say, from yours truly, Syracuse, New York, Los Angeles, California, Louisville, Kentucky, to all of our friends and family around the world at NerdCage Live and Body Count. Enjoy life. Stay safe. And good night, everybody.
Sayonara.
Don't get a sucker, no statue. Give him chance. Come on, Creed. Hit me. Hey, woman. Listen here. He's mine. There ain't no hair's been messing up my coat.
Hey, how you doing? You're about to witness the strength of geek knowledge,
Prediction? Yes, prediction. Pain.
NerdCage Live and gaming are a perfect match.
Shoot the J, Joe.
Okay.
Shoot it!
All right.
Over on NerdCage Live on Twitch, Jay and Joe go live.
Call me Bazooka Joe.
It's all about you.
Kaboom! Playing both old school and new school games every Tuesday night. Ooh, what a sight!
Jay, stop looking at her face and run.
But she's so beautiful.
So be sure to follow NerdCage Live on Twitch.
Run for your life, Joe. Run for your life, Joe.
Running.
Run faster. Oh no, Joe. The galaxy's doomed because of you.
To scratch your gaming itch.
Oh, nice kick, Joe.
Thank you.
Yo, that's diabolical. Wait. Yo!
That's twitch.tv/NerdCage Live.
Ooh, trying to get out of the NerdCage, are ya? Well, before you go, hit that subscribe button. And if you're really intrigued, ring that bell. Thank you for dropping by. Until next time, tell everyone you know about NerdCage Live!